The Theme Park, starring Steppa Style and some scary stuff, written and directed by Mr. Chips.
Warning: this experience contains more flashy lights than a disco ball at a lightning storm. Viewer discretion is advised, unless you're a moth, in which case, enjoy.
Steppa was the kind of YouTuber who thrived on chaos. His channel was a magnet for the bizarre, the surreal, and the inexplicable. Every video was more deranged than the last, and his audience ate it up, not knowing if the things that happened to him were real or some elaborate prank. But the truth was, even Steppa himself didn't fully understand the madness that surrounded him. It all started on a seemingly normal day with a simple idea for a video. 24 hours alone in an abandoned theme park. Easy content, right? A few cheap jump scares, fake ghosts, the usual. He thought it'd be just another overnight challenge for clicks. He wasn't prepared for what waited for him at the park. Something dark, something ancient. As soon as he arrived, the gates of the park creaked open on their own, a gust of wind blowing past him with an eerie, almost whispering sound. He chuckled to himself, setting up the camera. "All right, guys, looks like we're in for a spooky night. Don't worry, nothing's gonna stop me from making it through." The grin on his face was forced. It always was. His fans loved his bravado, his "nothing can scare me" attitude. But deep down, Steppa was starting to feel like he was living in his own personal horror movie. The park wasn't just abandoned. It felt wrong, like the world inside it wasn't playing by the same rules as the one outside. Every step seemed to echo too loudly, the air thick with an unnatural silence between the gusts of wind. The rides, rusted and falling apart, loomed over him like dead giants watching. It wasn't long before he started noticing the glitches, things in the distance flickering, like static on an old TV. The carousel, unmoving for years, suddenly spun in reverse, a warped tune playing from somewhere deep within the park. He shrugged it off, playing it up for the camera. "Looks like someone's still working on the maintenance here," he joked, though his eyes darted nervously around. A chill crawled up his spine, but the views, the comments, the validation, that's what he lived for. Then came the messages. His phone pinged with a notification, a text. From himself? "Leave now." He stared at the screen, blinking. A prank from a hacker? He wasn't new to that. He laughed it off and kept going deeper into the park, making sure to get some creepy shots of the Ferris wheel, towering and broken against the sky. But something was off. His reflection in the wheel's glass gondolas didn't match his movements. It waved back at him before turning and walking away. Suddenly, his phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't a message but a FaceTime request, from an unknown number. His curiosity got the best of him, and he accepted. The screen showed a version of him, standing in the same spot but covered in deep gashes, blood oozing down his face, eyes wide with terror.
"They're coming,"
the bloody version of him whispered.
"Don't let them see you."
The call ended, leaving only static. Okay, nice prank. Real nice," Steppa muttered, trying to keep his cool for the camera. He spun around, half expecting to see a crew of pranksters, but there was no one, just the endless expanse of the dilapidated park. He started to hear footsteps behind him, but every time he turned around, nothing. His heart raced, the bravado slipping away. Then he saw them, figures emerging from the shadows. They looked human, but their faces were wrong, stretched too long with wide, empty eyes that seemed to consume everything they looked at. Their mouths, perpetually open, whispered his name over and over again.
Steppa Style. Steppa Style.
He bolted, dropping his camera, adrenaline surging through him. He could hear them closing in, their footsteps pounding faster and faster behind him. Every time he thought he had lost them, they would appear in front of him, always closer than before. No matter how fast he ran, the park kept twisting around him as if it were alive, shifting to trap him inside. The rides began to light up on their own. The roller coaster, its tracks missing sections, roared to life, cars racing over gaps that shouldn't have been possible. The bumper cars crashed into each other, though no one sat in them. The funhouse mirrors reflected thousands of versions of him, all screaming, all pleading for escape. His phone buzzed again. Another text. Go to the Hall of Mirrors. It was insane to follow, but what choice did he have? Every other direction led him straight back into the path of those hollow-eyed things. He sprinted toward the funhouse, the figures always just a step behind him, their whispers now a deafening chant of his name. Inside the Hall of Mirrors, the reflections grew worse. His face melted, distorted, stretched until it was unrecognizable. He couldn't tell what was real anymore. Was he even himself? The mirrors flickered, showing glimpses of his life, twisted versions of his videos where he died in every scenario, always laughing until the very end. And then he saw it, his real reflection. Silent, calm, watching him. "Help me!" Stepastyle screamed at his own image, but the reflection just smiled.
You wanted this.
It whispered.
They've been watching you, feeding on the chaos. Every video, every prank, every stunt. They've been waiting for you to open the door. And now, you can't close it.
The reflection stepped forward, out of the mirror, and Stepastyle felt his body freeze. He couldn't move, couldn't scream, as his doppelganger smiled, mimicking his own voice perfectly.
Time to give the fans what they really want.
The last thing Stepastyle saw was his own face grinning back at him before everything went dark. The next morning, his latest video uploaded automatically. 24 hours in the park, Stepastyle's final ride. It went viral instantly, millions of views in hours. But no one noticed that it wasn't him in the thumbnail, smiling with that perfect, devilish grin. No one ever heard from the real Stepastyle again. The comments were full of praise. Best video yet! Crazy effects, dude! How'd you do the ending? That was wild. And somewhere, deep inside the dark, twisting dimensions of that abandoned park, something laughed, feeding on every single view.